Hey, this is Alex from the future, and my hair's still a mess. I'm getting it cut on Sunday, but before the video starts, I just want to give a quick birthday shout out to Tim Ross, aka EMP3440, because it's his birthday today, and he is the man who pretty much inspired me to do YouTube in the first place. He inspired me to make my very first video ever, which was the random videos, which wound up being the random videos series from watching him do a little slideshow for Paul Simon, and that gave me the idea to make random video. So happy birthday, Tim, and thank you for inspiring me to do YouTube. And that's it. On to the video. What's up, people of the world? It's me again, Alex Swimmer, aka AP3 Jumped, and you've probably seen this person on my channel. I mean, this is my mom after all. So.
Hi guys.
Hi, and today we are. I don't know what this is. I don't know what the hell that is. Okay. It was stuck to my laptop stand.
Random item that we don't need to be talking about.
So today I'm finally doing my belated co-review with my mother for Avengers Endgame. This is the first. Don't be too cheesy. This is the relationship we have. This is the first time I'm doing a co-review at all for anything. I usually only do reviews by myself.
I'm here to add a little spice.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Let's just cut right to the chase.
Okay.
So it has been over a month since the movie came out. It came out in I'm just gonna say right off the bat, spoiler alert, because
yes, definitely announce spoiler alert. Repeat.
Because
spoiler alert.
I don't trust her to
no.
to do like to do what I do in my videos, and where I do the first half spoiler free. Boogie2988 also does that. So
yeah, no, there's no way that I can do that because I just can't contain myself.
She's not physically capable of doing that. So.
Especially like this was such an amazing movie, so.
Yeah. I mean, sure, it's been. But I mean, is it really too late to talk about this movie? It's never too late to talk about it.
No, it's never too late to talk about this movie. It's actually pretty incredible.
My memory's fading a little bit, unfortunately, because I mean, I really shouldn't have to. I mean, what hasn't been said about this movie? I mean,
I know pretty much everything's been said about this movie. That's going to be pretty similar, and probably what we'll say will be similar, but it's nice to just hear and see people's reactions. So that's why, I think, doing a lot of different, or seeing a lot of different reviews on the internet just kind of shows the passion that the fan base for the movie has, the fans of the characters of the Marvel universe, the MCU. And especially the anticipation for this one was so high, and there was so much in the sense that there was so much that this movie had to live up to. But consider because of course they produce great movies. You knew that this movie would be amazing. So, and it turned out that it lived up to the hype and everything and more. So
yeah. Geez, where do I even start with the MCU in general? Like, I mean, I talked about this a lot in my review for Infinity War last year. I almost said Infinity Ward, the company that makes Call of Duty games, but because there sounds so similar. Infinity Ward.
Oh,
yeah, that's one of that's one of the companies that makes the Call of Duty games. Anyway,
oh, wow.
I'm sure I'm not the only one who's messed up on that.
I learned something new today because I'm not a gamer, so I wouldn't know anything about that.
Apparently, she used to be a hardcore gamer back in the day.
Oh yeah, back in the day. I'm not an old geezer or anything like that. I'm only 42, but.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe I just gave my age away. That's
Well,
such a faux pas.
well, I'm only 23. Yeah. My parents are quite young compared to the rest of my
So,
friends' parents. So yeah, like I said last year, I'm just gonna sort of say what's off the top of my head in no real concise order because I'm just gonna jump all over the place.
mhm,
Because these MCU films I've pretty much have grown up with since I was a kid. Like a much older kid. I was in middle school when when the first Iron Man came out, and I one of the Christmas sets I got was it was one of the newest Lego sets for Avengers. It was actually my first Marvel set. It was for the Iron Man Hall of Fame suit. I can't remember what it's called, but um, Iron Man Hall of Armor. That's right. And as I was building that, I was having all these flashbacks and memories of all the three Iron Man movies because this set has five different suits from all the three different movies, and it's just give me a good reason to reminisce about Marvel's past, and but Marvel had the MCU at least we got we got to stay on that. It
mhm.
had such humble beginnings at the start, and it was still a lot of fun back then.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and I mean every single last movie for the most part, Thor: The Dark World,
Oh,
leading
yeah,
up to now has been an absolute delight to
right.
see, and they're all
They're
almost
all
all
their
of
own
them
little gems,
almost all of them are just nothing short of fantastic.
Right. So with this movie,
I personally didn't hate the Dark World all that much, but
yeah, but we
but
digress.
another thing, this movie event Endgame. In order to watch it, you need to have seen every single MCU movie. Well, for the most
For
part,
the most part,
it's like Andre Meadows said. One of the things he said, like you think you could get away with skipping the Dark World. Turns out you can't because there are story elements from the Dark World that are in
yeah,
Endgame.
true.
And
But you know, starting out with the the actual movie with Endgame, I think the opening scene was pretty striking in that you know um, you see Hawkeye at home with his family and
yeah.
his children. He's teaching his daughter the bow and arrow and everything.
Hmm.
Um, and, he's just content and enjoying his life. And we come to find out that, it was, post snap
Yeah.
that this happened.
It was actually
The
right before. Chronologically, it was right before the snap.
right before, no.
Yeah, because in the beginning, of Hawkeye's family was there, and then Hawkeye turns around. I forget Hawkeye's real name. Um, he turns around, then his family gets snapped away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, basically, I get what you're saying. That the
Hmm.
scene kind of goes from before snap and then
Because
post
Marvel
snap in
doesn't
the
film
same.
chronologically anymore.
Right, but I
Which
mean, basically, the idea is
I'll talk
the
about that
same
later.
thing. It's basically it was post snap in the sense of the tragedy and the devastation, and going forward, seeing everybody um, kind of dealing with the aftermath of it. It was pretty striking, knowing that it was 5 years.
And everyone deals with it in their own way,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
everyone
And
is dealing with it.
and what I like is,
Yeah. Um,
Cap is
I'm
trying to
yeah.
do, you know, supportive groups for people that have gone through this. You have um, Thor going through this massive crisis internally
Because
of
he
feeling the guilt.
yeah because he the guilt for not killing Thanos right then and there
And so you
before
see that going on with
that,
him, and
and then he let himself go.
he let himself go. But here's
Which Fat Thor is entertaining in of itself, but
right.
and every character just has this underlying sadness, at the first act of the movie, which is the first whole
Yeah,
hour of the movie.
because I think the way that they meant to do it was that our heroes our, ones that we look up to, our icons, that they were gonna suffer. Like you see them literally suffering. Like most of the times in movies, not just Marvel movies, but movies with bad guys and good guys in general, usually the good guys always win and prevail. Yay! You never really see them suffer. But
No.
in this one,
In
that
this
first act,
franchise.
you see them suffer real greatly in that first act. I mean, poor, Tony Stark is up in space, dying, writing saying his last, his last will or
And
his
after
last
that,
words, and then
I think it was, I can't remember exactly when this happened, but at one point he became frail and like he
yeah,
lost weight, and
yeah,
because
you see him pretty much dying. You see
it was
everybody
painful to watch.
going through all of this turmoil, and Thor just really letting himself go. You see everybody suffering, and you kind of don't know what to do because most of the times we're not expecting the good guys to suffer. And but I really like how, in Tony Stark's situation, I literally thought that he was gonna die. I literally thought that because the way
Right
I
then
was
and there,
right then and there,
I almost thought he would.
because I was thinking to myself, what else is humanly possible or anything possible that he can get out of that? And then here comes Captain Marvel
Yeah.
out of nowhere. And she comes and she saves him. I'm like, da 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 da, at least, he's back on Earth with oxygen and, being around, his team, his people. But he's just such a broken person at this point that, he just wants to be left alone. And,
Yeah.
so,
I
then
just feel
Hawkeye goes off and he becomes
he
like
becomes
this
one of
mass
his
murderer,
he becomes his alter ego.
vigilante.
I don't remember his name, but he's honestly really cool.
Yeah,
His
but
alter ego. People really liked that about the movie.
that was kind of cool. Yeah, you see him become that person, and so
And people wanted to see. I heard some people online saying they wanted to see a prequel of how Hawkeye became like that.
yeah, that was. I
don't
mean,
know.
it was very interesting to see that side of him, because knowing that, okay, he lost everybody in his whole family, and here he is just kind of taking it out on the bad guys, just vigilante style.
Yeah. So
But
I don't know what
what
we'll
else
have
do
to
you?
say next.
Because we're thinking about first act, so that's pretty much what happened in the first act, and then just moving on into planning mode.
Because
Second act.
I'm gonna compare this movie to the previous one, and here in a little bit, because should I go out of order with this or what?
It doesn't matter. At this point, most people have seen the movie, so they'll know what you're talking about.
All
Especially
right.
we put, spoiler
Yeah.
alert, so we can talk about it however we want.
So yeah, I of course I was gonna compare this, like I mentally was going to prepare myself to compare this to Infinity War, and personally I thought Infinity War was the better movie objectively for me, because it just seemed like
And that's where I differ.
because Infinity War just always had something going on all the time, every single second throughout. And I feel like that's one of the weaker.
What you're saying.
I feel like that's one of the weaker points of Endgame, but that's sort of the point for the first act, is because everyone is sort of recuperating from the events of the climax of the last film, and also about another difference was that the last film was so much more emotionally impactful for me than Endgame was.
I mean, I loved it, but
because I still think Endgame is a fantastic movie.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Because people, referring back to Boogie 2988, he his in his opinion, out of the original Star Wars trilogy, Empire Strikes Back is the best out of the original trilogy, and then Return of the Jedi, while isn't as good in his opinion, is still phenomenal. And he made an analogy with that with Infinity War and Endgame. He was saying Infinity War was just like the MCU's Empire, and how and how Endgame was the MCU's Return to Jedi.
Mm.
And I completely agree with that. That
Well, I definitely,
and I'm glad I wasn't the only one who thought that.
I'm gonna interject here and say that I can see your point about what you mean with the differences of the movie as far as it was more action based and it seemed to be for you more impactful with the ending of Infinity War. But
Hmm.
for me, just knowing, okay, Endgame, it had its you know ups and downs. It had its lulls and then its more actiony parts and everything. And to me, I found it a really good blend. The 3 hours did not feel like 3 hours.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
that's another thing.
by the time we culminated to the ending, for me, the ending was more impactful for the fact that obviously, once again, spoilers, when Tony Stark gives up his life, basically.
He dies. He doesn't get killed by anyone.
No, he gives up his life
He
willingly as
sacrifices
a
himself.
sacrifice. He does the snap to get rid of Thanos and all of his goons.
Because Thanos, and near the end of the first act, Thor finally killed Thanos, and then
Right, but then we'll get into that part in a minute. But with Tony having the reason why Endgame for me is more impactful with the ending is because Tony having giving up his life to save everyone else was very impactful because the MCU basically started with
Iron Man.
Iron Man,
Yeah.
and he was first this really like sleazy, sneaky, not trustworthy, non-hero
That's why I was.
type person.
That's why I
And
was Team Cap for a long time
you know,
during like the Civil War days.
I was always Iron Man, but to
Well,
see
I've always loved Iron Man, but he was very cocky
he
in
was
the
very
beginning.
cocky, and but to see his progression from this cocky, sleazy, war weapon seller to become this amazing, giving, self-aware, and totally loyal and all-encompassing person
Yeah.
was like really, wow, the wow factor to me. That's why it was more impactful.
Okay. Yeah. And I do think the movie's climax made up for what I didn't think was as strong for Endgame.
Mm-hmm. But
That was strong for Infinity War. But so yeah, I guess we'll circle back to the second act.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the things that have happened in this series, we've had there's earthbound elements, there's outer space elements, there's fantasy elements, and honestly, I never would have suspected time travel would be implemented into this movie.
There was a lot of time travel, and you know what?
And,
It threw a lot of new ideas about time travel,
yeah.
didn't it? Like it definitely was not the regular time travel that we all
And
learned in the
and the
movies.
characters themselves even mentioned literally every time travel movie ever,
Right.
and they were saying,
So I thought that was kind
Hulk
of
was saying like, no, that it doesn't work like in the movies.
right. So I thought that was clever
So
and kind of tongue in cheek. Like wow, that was kind of pretty neat to see the way they approached the time travel.
There's very few other pieces of media that I've seen where going back to the past does not screw up the future timeline.
I know.
There's a Kim Possible movie called A Stitch in Time or Stitch in Time. I can't remember what it's called, but that's an example of that. And
so
so
definitely
that's very rare.
Yeah, and I found that so interesting that they took that route because it opened up the realm of possibilities, which would then explain, how past Thanos came into the future without messing up
and then we have to kill Thanos again from the
right,
past.
exactly. So it was
and
just
and not another thing, past Nebula becomes an antagonist.
I know, and I'm like,
and even past Gamora a little bit because Gamora, I think she died in the last movie. I think.
Yeah, she did
so,
because he
he
sacrificed her for the Soul Stone.
And later on, a past Gamora winds up, being the main Gamora.
Yeah, and
Which is that's
although
really weird and funny and confusing, but this
she
movie
kind of,
tries to not make it not confusing, to not make time
yeah,
travel confusing.
well, although it's still, if you blink, you miss it because it's like you got to really be paying attention to
And
everything.
President Nebula kills her past self, which I'm like, what the hell?
That was so weird.
That was
but I was
that
like,
was kind of funny.
and not to see her like disappear, like we've learned
Like-
in time travel, like, oh my god, you run into
Erased from existence.
you're exactly. Back to the Future is definitely my main reference point there.
She got me into Back to the Future, by the way.
Oh, that's like my favorite trilogy. Are you kidding me?
And yeah, me too.
Oh,
in
but
high
I
school.
digress. Back to the review. So, it was very interesting and as far as the time travel, I love the different points in time.
Oh,
that
yeah.
They went back
They
to.
went through a bunch, they went through all the previous movies. They went through the old Avengers movies. They went through some of the miscellaneous movies. We saw even more miscellaneous characters from previous movies that haven't appeared since their first appearance. Like the ancient one from Doctor Strange and some of the characters from Thor: The Dark World. I think even... I don't think there was recycled or deleted or unused footage or anything like that. I heard, because what I'm saying is that Natalie Portman, whoever character she played, she might have reprised her role. Although I heard that her scenes in that movie might have been either recycled or
unused footage.
That's what I thought.
Then what they did was they had her re-record
the
lines that they needed for this particular scene.
Oh, all right.
So that's what they did with that. But I found it like so interesting, especially when they go back to the 70s. Do you remember?
Yeah.
It was the 70s, and then
let's just bring this up real quick. Stan Lee's last physical cameo. It's a great last cameo for him. Back in his, it represents him in his heyday.
Exactly, and that was during the time travel scenes where they went back to the 70s, and he was in the 70s car, and
with his old darker mustache, and
that was pretty neat to see, and I really thoroughly enjoyed that, and
that's a great last on-screen cameo.
Definitely, and then them going back to New York, for like the
I'm almost tearing up thinking about that. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I know, it's just
Stan Lee. He lived a long ass life. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
But
and
anyway,
he produced a lot of good movies, comics, and then influenced the movies.
But he made a great franchise. I'm saying.
Definitely.
Is what we're saying.
So I like the scene where they go back to New York, where they have the three stones. Back revisiting the from the first Avengers movie, where Loki comes and so them doing that.
President Cap fights past Cap, which is funny.
Exactly in that part of the time heist,
time
because
heist.
They call it time heist. It's not like it wasn't time jump or anything. It was time heist, which I thought was clever. But also let's mention we forgot to mention Ant-Man. When he comes back from the quantum realm,
because he's been stuck in the quantum realm for 5 years. Time is much. I want to say faster in the
yeah.
Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. Time is much faster in the quantum realm, and whereas it felt like 5 hours to him.
Yeah, and so he comes back, and obviously it's like been 5 years.
It's no wonder one of the characters from Ant-Man Wasp was able to stay in the quantum realm for so many years without being completely having any consequences. Spoiler alert. She hasn't seen every single last MCU movie. She didn't see the Ant-Man movie. She didn't see Doctor Strange, I don't think.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did?
I love Doctor Strange. I've seen
that. Or no, Captain Marvel is what she hasn't seen.
That's the only one I haven't seen. The Ant-Man movies and Captain Marvel.
But what were you saying?
But when he comes back and he realizes what the hell is going on, and then he meets up
his daughter.
with his daughter, which is now she's just like a teenager. Yeah. At least she survived she survived the snap.
Yeah.
But he gets with the team and talks to Cap and everybody, and finds out what's going on. And then he's the one, after he knows what happened, he's the one that comes up with the idea for the time heist, which I thought was very neat. And then that leads us to the next thought of where they go to get Tony Stark, because he would be the only other one that would be qualified to kind of help Scott with the figuring stuff out for this
Yeah.
time heist, and he didn't want to do anything. But we come to see, he has a awesome life with Pepper, and he has a daughter.
I forget her name,
Okay, and she's beautiful and
Yeah.
she's lovely, and he's happy with, and so he turns everybody down, and so it's like they try, and it's so funny to see they try
so damn hard.
They try so hard to do the time heist, and then they have the Hulk, Professor Hulk, by the way.
But yeah, which I didn't expect. This is something from the comics I found out, but Bruce Banner, he put it in his own words, he gets to be the best of both worlds. He gets to be Bruce Banner while also he gets to be the Hulk while still being Bruce Banner.
And the way that they presented it was perfect, because it looked just like Bruce Banner, but like a refined Hulk.
A
you know what I
refined
mean?
Hulk,
Very
yes.
refined.
A Hulk who
can speak intelligently,
who's figured himself out, because
exactly.
it seemed it literally, I think, is that the Hulk is literally a different character was literally a different person from Bruce Banner. Because
and so he mixed them together, and you have a new Hulk who's refined, who can speak intelligently,
speaking his normal voice,
act like a regular person without flipping out,
Yeah, and
but still have the brute strength needed.
Yeah, this is another minor little spoiler, but it's also funny. Hulk legit dabs in the movie. He legit does a dab in the movie in like the diner.
Right. That was so funny. But
I didn't expect that either, but that was still cute.
So and basically, kind of then Tony comes back around. He decides to join them once he starts to figure things out on his own, that he could do it. He's kind of a little bit hesitant, but he wants to,
for a very good reason.
Right. But Pepper encourages him to do what he feels is best, and then you got the whole team back, and then of course you get to the
are we just going to jump back to the climax, which is undoubtedly the best part of the movie?
Yeah, the climax.
And literally everyone comes back, and the people who were snapped, they didn't realize that they died, which is interesting.
I know. I
thought when Peter said his line in the last movie, "I don't feel so good," which was improv, by the way. It seemed like he knew he was going to die, but when they all came back, Peter didn't realize he was gone when Tony Stark hugged him. That's a little bit only inconsistencies I can find with any of these damn movies.
You know what? If I agree
these
with
movies
there.
pay incredible attention to continuity.
I agree with the fact that
I didn't think about that until just now.
I wasn't really sure about that, like what happened to them really. Why wouldn't they remember? That I didn't understand or agree with.
Maybe
they didn't execute that too well for me personally.
They were a little bit
one critic I have.
Maybe they were a little bit amnesiac. I don't know.
I don't know. The only other and aside, that is a critique of mine. I agree with you there.
I didn't come up with that till just now. It's amazing.
But unfortunately, the other thing I have a critique about when everybody comes back, is that it happens so quick and spontaneously.
Well,
like all these characters
I feel like,
shown back to back to back.
I feel like there's a good build-up. Everyone gets introduced one by one from one portal to the next, and then the battle culminates with Thanos, and I think some of his children of Thanos are still alive at that point, and then Thanos' like army of Outriders, and the six-armed creatures.
Right, but that's not that for me. I know what you're saying, and But I love don't get me wrong, I love the climax.
It's freaking awesome.
But I just think they could have done a little more to slow down the people just popping up out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
There was this. How this catchphrase that originated from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, "Everyone is here." That's a catchphrase that goes with everything nowadays in media. That goes so well with That was one of the central themes of last year with fictional media. Everyone is here. That was also the case for Endgame as well. Like literally, everyone is here except for some people who who also had to get sacrificed or were just literally killed off. Vision and Black Widow in particular.
Exactly. Let's not forget to mention poor Black Widow. I mean, she
I was so
sacrifices herself, and that was like pretty amazing. And but devastating at the same time because she was such an instrumental character, one of
She
the
was.
original.
She was one of the
Um,
original 6
yeah, I
Avengers.
mean, hello, she started off in what Iron Man
Iron Man 2?
2,
Yeah.
yeah, and so we going forward from there. She was always kind of a stable force,
Hmm.
so it was kind of sad to see that. But I'm looking forward to her prequel movie that they're going to be doing. So.
Oh yeah, they are actually doing that.
Hmm.
I heard about that. We'll talk about Phase 4 and everything, and all the final battle scene was incredibly awesome. And there was a scene where it had all of the female and protagonists, and and so yeah, that was a neat scene. Some people want to complain about that scene for some reason because of
Hmm.
you what
No, keep going.
because no, I know what people were complaining about is that the scene with all the the female protagonists felt, I guess, too forced. I don't know.
No, 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 no.
I don't agree with,
No, no, no,
I don't
no.
necessarily agree with the fact that it happened too fast.
I like that. Okay, it's
Probably for
about
the same
time.
argument that all the character introductions happened too fast for her for this
Okay, so
climax.
I get what you're saying. I liked it. You didn't agree with it for the reason I didn't agree with the end characters, and you liked it. So that's kind of okay. But
So yeah,
it's
that was an awesome scene.
yeah.
And all the gals facing teaming up and facing the big bad bastard known as Thanos.
Hmm.
And um so um
But
what am
yeah,
I gonna
overall, the movie was an amazing movie, and I'm sure everybody on the planet has seen it. But if you haven't, if you're one of the few that hasn't, sorry, this is so spoilery. But anyways,
That's
go
why we
see
said
it.
it in the beginning, because
Exactly.
if you've if you're a Marvel fan, if you've kept up with the MCU films, then this movie is an absolute
Mhm.
must to see.
Yeah.
You're definitely giving yourself a disservice if you haven't seen
Yeah.
these big movies. Now I've
You
seen
have to definitely see this movie and see it again and again and again and again.
yeah this movie it it was sad. I tried so hard to cry, like even when Tony sacrificed himself, and when he did, uh, Thanos said, "Who are you?" And then he said something which I have not heard since freaking middle school. I am Iron Man.
Yeah. So, cause I think no, no, no. Thanos says, "I am inevitable."
Oh, he says I
Remember?
am inevitable.
And then Tony Stark says, I am Iron Man. Which,
No.
by the way, the Russo brothers, when they first, when they did that scene, Robert Downey Jr.
He was
he
he
was
was
hesitant to
yeah
say that, but, they kind of, ran the lines with him and everything. And once he saw how it was done, then he was all for it. So
yeah.
it almost didn't happen. So it's interesting. But it's,
Go out like at all. I mean, at least it was from a sacrifice,
hmm
and not not because he was literally killed by the main villain
exactly.
who had to die twice in order to.
That was trippy.
And Phase 4, I've heard rumors, and I think I know what I have a general idea of what movies are going to be in Phase 4. And now that Disney owns Fox finally, that means every single Marvel character is finally owned by the same company again. You and because I've heard the recent X-Men movies aren't that good. I've heard Dark Phoenix had terrible reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. It only has 21% rating on Rotten Tomatoes because
Oh.
that was a leftover from Fox's. That was leftover from when Fox still owned the X-Men solely.
Mm.
That
Which
was
is weird because I don't know why
that
they went
I was told
down.
they should have just scrapped the whole movie.
I don't know why they didn't just why the quality went down with Dark Phoenix when the original X-Men movies were so good.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah,
But
this
anyways,
movie is the longest movie I ever saw in theaters. I
not for me because that would be Lord of the Rings, the third one, which
yeah,
is slightly longer.
when you saw it with my dad way back in the day. I
Oh wait
was
a minute, and Titanic as well. That's longer than this movie by a
oh
few minutes.
so yeah, and I didn't have to pee.
I don't think your viewers want to know about your
no,
bodily
no,
functions.
seriously. This is a serious factor when going to movies. Like, like I
Oh,
I did my
Lord.
best, like, to not, you know.
Have to use the facilities.
I know, I planned well ahead for that.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to pee at all. So I was careful of what I drank.
Because that can get tricky with such a long movie.
Because
you eventually
well,
your bladder's starting to
like it or not, that's something that needs to be said, and you need to prepare for something like that if you are going to see a long movie in the theaters like this. True. With no breaks. Mm-hmm. And another thing I want to say, this is a once in a lifetime event in fiction, because, like, for cinema, this is probably the biggest and longest running, I want to say, because the MCU has been around for a long time. How many other movie franchises can you say can and will do that?
That's true. Honestly, it's not going to be something.
I doubt any other movie franchise is going to be able to do what the MCU has done and is still doing. Because even though we're done with this chapter, we are not done yet. I'm not sure how much more MCU we have left.
I mean, the only other franchise that I can think that lasted long, but obviously not nearly as long, would be Harry Potter. But that was only like 8 movies compared to, what, 20-something movies?
Yeah, 22 Marvel movies under the MCU umbrella. Because, this is probably one of my longest video reviews for anything, but
it was great, a great movie.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to do a co-review with my mom, who actually has watched tons of more behind the scenes stuff for the movie than I have. Yeah. So that's another reason why I brought her on here.
I learned a lot of stuff about it, so.
Yeah, I just didn't exactly have time to watch. I don't know. I'm just pick and choose what videos to watch, I guess.
Yeah.
But if you like this video, then don't forget to subscribe. If you like this movie, then yeah, tell us what you thought in the comments below. Yep. If you haven't seen it, why? So yeah, also
like and subscribe.
And hit the bell to be notified of future videos I make. Right. I'm glad I finally got this
ding ding ding
video. Better late than never.
Exactly.
Oh, I liked the random little guest stars that showed up. That was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this was such a massive movie.
Yes, it was. So thank you for having me on your channel today and co-reviewing with you.
You're very welcome. You're the first person I'm doing a co-review with, which is something I've been wanting to do. I need to do more collaborative videos. It's so hard for me to anymore, but.
They're always, bring up interesting opinions and thoughts from someone else that you can kind of banter off. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah. So I'm Alex Warmer, aka AP3 Jones, and
I'm Annie Banani.
You're saying that on the internet? Oh my God.
Yeah. That's alright.
My mom. And thanks so much for watching till the end. That's it for us, and we'll see you soon. And we love you 3000.
Peace.
I don't know why I didn't cry. I guess I don't have a heart. I tried so hard. I'm that's probably the reason. I was trying too hard to cry and I couldn't. Yeah. This is my shirt. Yeah. I wore one of my Marvel shirts to the movie, obviously, but.
Bye.
Yeah. This made more than Avatar 2.
Yeah, I know.
I never thought that would happen.